all coming from big agencies and having established a super-duper solid fandom, willing to support regardless of what, these acts' most recent comeback still encountered a heated discussion. As, according to netizens, what they got was way below the par and their expectations. In fact, not only netizens, but many fans have also voiced their disappointment. So let's dive in and see what is really happening to these comebacks. Number 1. Blackpink's Pink Venom. Breaking all the records set by no one but the version of them 2 years ago, Blackpink has taken over the internet with their Pink Venom. When the music was yet to be released and only their photo teasers were posted, people had already gone crazy just by the thought that they finally got to see OT4 after 4 years. The fact that YG Entertainment spent a bunch of money to dye Seoul pink by putting up big pink banners and running pink LED lights around Namsan Tower also received lots of good reactions from netizens. According to them, the massive scale of Pink Venom's marketing scheme was probably way more than enough to make this comeback a big bop. And just like what many predicted, history repeated and Blackpink once again set new records with this comeback. Most recently, Spotify has recognized Pink Venom as the most streamed K-pop song in 2022. On the very first day of release, the track already had 10.75 million listenings on the platform, beating one of the most meaningful tracks of BTS, yet to come. Not only that, Pink Venom also debuted straight onto number 1 of Spotify's Top 50 Global, being the only track of a K-pop act to do so. On iTunes, Blackpink was also ranked first in 70 countries, and most importantly, maintained their top position in the 2 pickiest countries, the States and the UK. In sharp contrast to the doubt that Blackpink could only do well off-board, and failed to maintain their heat in the homeland due to countless monster rookies of Gen 4, the group was also seen first in established music charts like Melon, Buds, Vibe, Genie Music, and many more. On YouTube, they recorded 86.2 million views in just one day, became the girl group with the most viewed MV in K-pop within 24 hours, as well as had Pink Venom trending in 57 nations. Regarding the physical album sales, Blackpink has recorded 1.5 million pre-orders for their second full album Born Pink in just 6 days. And when YG Entertainment confirmed that Blackpink would make a comeback, their share price surged 6.3%. Despite all the records and achievements, there were still negative reactions towards Blackpink's latest comeback, saying that it was rather disappointing and underwhelming, and not worthy of 2 years waiting and desperation. Some said they even felt like the promotion, regardless of the spectacular visual and exhaustive budget, was done to stop the whining of fans, rather than to really elevate the girls' image. First was the melody. To many netizens, the whole track was just a remix of Kill This Love, aka the song Blackpink released 3 years ago. Especially the structure of the song. The fact that Pink Venom followed the same flow, as Jennie opened the song, then Lisa, then Jisoo and Rosé, and then the rapper duo Jin Lee also said to bore people out. At this point, they had given up understanding why Blackpink had to stick to their success formula for too long, despite having already been a top famous girl group and achieving countless triumphs. Others believed had the girls debuted in Gen 4, they would have been left way far behind for the repetitive image. Still, the most annoying part about Pink Venom, according to netizens, wasn't the melody, but rather the constant cut with no sense. While the budget for this MV was huge and everyone could see that, the way the MV was put together was said to be exhausting, as it not only wore the eyes out, but also made people confused as to where to focus. The fact that every scene was cut after 2 seconds also wasted the visual of the members, and the sophisticated background. You can see this most clearly when watching this behind-the-scenes video. In this footage, Jisoo was recording in a room decorated with lots of skulls, but in the MV, all people could see was her plainly walking through the room and not a single skull was seen. Guess the creative team must be really mad after seeing their hard work displayed so poorly like this. While the achievements of Pink Venom were apparent, the so-called failure of the track was also noticeable, as on August 20th, NewJeans' attention went back to number 1 on Melon, aka the largest music subscription service in South Korea, and took down Pink Venom. Considering the massive popularity of Blackpink and also the fact that their comeback track was still overtaken by a several-week-old rookie, the belief that Pink Venom was the worst promotion of Blackpink wasn't a subjective opinion anymore. Number 2. SNSD Forever One. Coming back after 5 years of hiatus, which was also the time when several members departed from SM Entertainment and ventured into their own dream, so ones were thrilled more than ever to see SNSD again appear together as a group. However, not all Sewons retained the same excitement when listening to their track Forever One, as on one hand, The song was said to be extremely nostalgic and SNSD. But on the other hand, it was said to be straight up forgettable and plain. Still, let's talk about how positive the reactions were to this song first. To some fans, Forever One was indeed a track that helped them relive the beautiful past, as not only the melody was very Gen 2 K-pop, but the visual of the MV was also very reminiscent of the group's debut hit Into the New World. However, the most amazing thing about this comeback was that So-ones could see and listen to their idols again as a group. Especially for the harmonization part, some said SNSD has proven well why they were the benchmark of group harmonization in K-pop, and overall, this was the most perfect comeback they had ever seen. Besides, SNSD was also said to serve a whole visual party, as despite their being in the industry for 15 years, no significant changes in the girls' appearance were seen. Their skin was all glassy smooth, figures were still slender, and of course, their energy was just as dynamic as they were years ago. However, there were also countless negative reactions aimed at this comeback, and according to them, the whole song was way too underwhelming and outdated. Especially for an act that has already had it all, there were even fewer reasons to go for such a plain and safe choice, in the context that So-ones had waited 5 years, and SNSD was celebrating their 15-year anniversary. Of course, it's true that the melody was very nostalgic, but it was also too generic so that listeners struggled to remember what they had just listened to. That was not to mention how the girls were all in their adulthood, but still, the theme SM Entertainment gave them was rather childish and cheap money. Some even straight up called Forever One a skippable song made for survival shows like Produce 101. And its structure was so all over the place that they could easily tell SM Entertainment didn't bother to invest in this comeback at all. Based on the neon lights and all the flashy neutral elements shown in the teaser, many So-ones said that they had expected something like SNSD being Queen stepping up from the Kwangya world, or at least having something futuristic incorporated into their MV. The disappointment was so great that on YouTube, there was one video titled, "Girls' Generation Needs to Retire, Forever One Review." And despite the defensive comment section saying that Forever One didn't have to be a banger because it was simply a gift to So-ones, you can still see lots of fans disappointed through countless comments agreeing with the OP. Number 3. ESPA's Girls. Becoming the most selling girl group with over 1.6 million album sales in the very first week, and in case you haven't known, they even beat Blackpink's The Album, the promotion of Girls has been another successful era of ESPA. However, according to some, Girls was still a pretty flop promotion compared to what they'd expected. This opinion was actually not subjective, and even backed up with real figure evidence. Still, let's talk about the positive reactions first. Besides the impressive album sales, Girls also came first on the worldwide iTunes album chart, debuted at number 13 on the worldwide iTunes song chart, and trended in many countries. In the homeland, the song also garnered great attention by debuting number 4 on Bugs, number 13 on Melon Top 100, number 14 Flow, and number 14 Genie. Of course, this didn't look so good relative to the achievements of Next Level, but considering the very niche market and the experimental melody of Girls, these were all amazing results. Still, many believed Girls was nothing but a step back in ESPA's career, because compared to other girl groups, especially younger girl groups and smaller companies, it's clear that ESPA didn't do so well. After going up to number 11 on Melon, Girls was pushed down to number 12 and left in the dust by mega hits like Tomboy, Sneakers, Love Dive, and most especially, Attention by New Jeans. The success of Girls on the international front was also said to be superficial, as just one day after entering the global chart on Spotify, ESPA was kicked out of it, making them the very first girl group to have this awkward achievement. One Twitter user said that many international K-pop fans also disliked the promotion, and one of the reasons fueling the hate was that SM Entertainment interfered in the search results too much. According to foreign K-pop fans, when they searched for ITZY and Blackpink in English, the very first MVs that popped up were those of ESPA. And based on this result, some believe the promotion was probably too flopped, that SM had to interfere that much. In one article, where 2 managing directors of SM had to sit down with Daum, they said ESPA was the crucial keyword determining the future value of the whole company. However, in the comment section, most comments were about asking SM to stop Kwangya World, as well as looking at the results of Girls' promotion before making such a statement. So, do you think these promotions are bops or flops? And why so? As for many netizens considering these comebacks disappointing, do you think they are expecting too much? Comment down below to share your thoughts with us. Also, remember to like, share, and subscribe to BeBoss TV for more interesting K-pop content. Thank you for watching.